All right, good afternoon. It's great to hear the buzz and the conversation, the connection. So grateful that you're here another month. So I've been out of the office. I'm sorry, grateful that you came to this meeting another month. Grateful that we're all here another month, another day. I said that because I've been out this week, so my head's spinning a little bit. I was out of the office Monday, and then we were at a conference Tuesday, Wednesday, so this is my first day back. So I've been kind of running, got my running shoes on. Let's go and get started. Dave, would you mind starting us off with a prayer this afternoon?
And just a quick mention, because some have been asking, the memorial service for Jim Harris will be Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock in this room, and the memorial service for Hans Meyer will be at 10:30 Monday morning. So just so you know. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Dear God, as a little island of people in a world that often seems chaotic, we come to you this afternoon not just seeking answers, but seeking strength and courage for the days ahead. We pray for courage to be a people who seek justice and peace through your love for all of your people. We struggle with questions that seem to have no answers and problems that seem to have insurmountable solutions. In the larger context of the community and nation beyond us, we seem to be in the midst of a deeply divided people. So many seem divided and at war with one another, either through words or worse, sometimes through violence. Surely we humans must test your patience, but we know that your love is all-encompassing, never-ending, always forgiving. And this is our hope, that you love us unconditionally. For we know and struggle with our imperfections and our shortcomings, and we know all the while that in the end, it is you who loves us the most and is always there waiting for us. You are our hope for the world, and it is in this hope that we live and move and have our being. Therefore, here at Rolling Green, may we embrace the diversity among us while rejecting divisions that may separate us. So God, this afternoon, we lift up the people of Rolling Green Village upon the loss of neighbors and loved ones. Give those who are grieving strength and courage for the days ahead. Help us to find ways to affirm and encourage them. And as you love us all and consider each one of us as important and as a part of your creation, help us to reflect that same expansive love and regard for others. So this afternoon, we lift up those in our community also who are sick or hurting in any way. Give them peace and strength to face their situations. Help us to be change agents in this world. Give us courage to speak out about our faith, to share with others the good news of a God who loves all people, and to lead by example, showing and speaking with respect to others. And all these things we ask in the name of him who is the Prince of Peace. Amen.
Good afternoon. I have one quick announcement for you today. It is bittersweet. So Teresa Dixon, our transportation supervisor, is retiring. Bitter for us, sweet for her, a new adventure. We're excited for her. We are working on filling her role. We felt like she wanted to have more intimate time with you and saying goodbye. She has meant so much to us. She's been here for 9 years. The last 6 years she's been doing transportation supervisor. Before that she was a caregiver. So we put it in the highlights, but on May 29th, which is a Monday, through that Wednesday from 10 to 2, stop by her office in the Wellness Center and say goodbye and wish and your well wishes. So if you have any questions, but if you're not able to come, then come sometime. Question? Can we repeat it? May 29th through the 1st. Her official last day is May 2nd. April 29th to May 1st. Excuse me. Look in the highlights. That's all I have. Thanks.
Hello. Lots of people retiring. As y'all know, Carl is retiring at the end of April. Carl is our bus driver. Real tall, thin. He's been here I don't even know how long he's been here. It's been a long time. And he's meant a lot to us. And so we are going to have a party for him on April 25th at 2 o'clock up in the Piano Lounge and Bistro. So it's just going to be a drop-in. So just come by and just wish him well and just let him know how much he's meant to us, because he's done a lot for us as far as driving the bus. And he took care of the buses and things like that. So he's going to be greatly missed. We'll go back to that. So we're working on a plan to acquire drivers for the big bus, because as you know, right now, Carl is the only one who is able to drive the big bus. I had 2 interviews tomorrow for bus drivers. One already has canceled. So fingers crossed the other one is good, but I'm not just going to settle for anyone. I want to make sure that they fit in and they're the right fit. Jimmy, who is one of our bus drivers, he is going to go. He does have a CDL, but he doesn't have a passenger endorsement. And so he is going to take a class on April 22nd to get his passenger endorsement so that he can drive the big bus. So I'm hoping that there's going to be a smooth transition and that we don't have to change any of our trips that we already have. Either, try to rent something or, change it from big to small or try to get carpools. I hope we don't have to do any of that. So we're working really hard to just make sure that none of your trips are interrupted or changed. The Village Voice, if y'all are wondering where it is, it's going to be just a little bit late this time. I was out unexpectedly for several days. I was sick, and so I didn't get a chance to finish it when it should have been finished. So I expect it to go out to everyone next Friday. I haven't gotten it back yet, so I don't think we can get it out tomorrow, but hopefully it should be there next Friday. So hopefully that doesn't happen again, but I just wanted to let y'all know. And I did put it in the highlights too to let people know. Only other things I have, tomorrow night is the Vets You Rock fundraiser. The vets will be at the table tonight from 4:30 to 6 and tomorrow from 4 to 6 to take up any donations that you may have. Also buy raffle tickets. We have a lot of good prizes up there, and the raffle tickets are $1. And so right now we don't have a whole lot of people that have bought raffle tickets. I'm hoping maybe there's going to be a big rush tomorrow evening. But so go ahead and put it in there, and you have a chance to win some nice prizes. So one's a lunch with me. I don't know why. Lunch with me, lunch with Ryan. We have some Rolling Green t-shirts. We have some gift bags. We have Greenville Theater tickets. A voucher for a trip worth $50. So there's a lot of different things that are really good. And then the Scarlet Hatters are going to have a yard sale April the 26th from 1 to 3 in the Hummingbird Casual Dining Room. So the money that they raise for this, or part of the money that they're going to raise for this, is going to the Employee Appreciation Fund. So there'll be a lot of good items up there that you can purchase. Are their tables still open, Janet? If anybody wants to reserve a table, you're still welcome to reserve a table. One table's $5. 2 tables would be $10. And that money, all of the money for the tables, will go to the Employee Appreciation Fund.
There'll also be a raffle.
Oh.
So if anyone has anything really special that they'd like to donate to the raffle,
Okay. All right.
but it will be a raffle, $1 a ticket, or 5 for $6.
Okay, so there will be a raffle. If anybody has any items that they would like to donate for the raffle, please do so. You can talk to Janet Albert. So they will be $1 a piece or 6 for $5. Okay?
It's the other way.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, 6 for $5. Does anybody have any questions? Terry?
Is there any word on the new bus?
I know. I was trying to talk to the guy and see if I could get any more information. We don't have any information right now, other than it had the VIN number. He was going to try to talk to the manufacturer. I had Stan even call him just to see if he could get more information. And so his name is Ethan, and Ethan was going to try to get with the manufacturer and just see if he could get some more information, but I haven't heard back yet. Yes.
Is Tom coming back?
Yes, oh yes, I did. Tom is coming back. So April 22nd will be Tom's first day back. He can drive the big bus. And he works 2 days a week normally because he can only have a certain amount of hours per week or per month or however that works. But he will be doing Monday shopping. So Monday shopping, we will have the big bus. So anybody who has a wheelchair that has to go shopping on Mondays, the big bus will now be available. So, and unless he's not going to be here for whatever reason, take a day off or whatever. But from now on, we should have the big bus for Monday shopping. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Good afternoon and happy Thursday. I was also out, so I also have on my running shoes. So it's been a busy day, to say the least. I wanted to start, as we talked about retiring, I want to talk about some movements within the licensed area. So we currently have a couple of openings in regards to not our floor nurses or our CNAs, but other positions. So we are looking for a wound care nurse / infection preventionist, and we're excited to say we hired someone for that role. And she attended orientation today and will be starting within the next couple of weeks. So that will be more of a nurse management role. So we have had that position open since around November. So it's good to see that role filled. Her name is Brooke, and so she'll be here in the next couple of weeks, and we're excited to see her come aboard. And then Danielle Solvagi, I feel like a lot of people probably know Danielle. She started out in food and beverage and then promoted into the marketing role within assisted living. So she's over admissions for Cedars and Evergreen Place, and she's actually, her last day is tomorrow. She's transitioning into another department within Rolling Green. She will start with Community Life Services on Sunday of this coming weekend. So she will work specifically within the licensed areas, kind of as an assistant within healthcare specifically. So she's just moving into a different department. We did a little celebration this morning for her, but this will be the third department. I told her, I joked with her and said by the end of it, you'll know every department of Rolling Green. So she's excited for that, and we're excited to see her continue to stay at Rolling Green. For her position, I had an interview last week with someone that I felt was very promising, and then she interviewed with our regional sales and marketing, Susan Brewer. She was here a couple of months ago to speak to the group. And so she's with Life Care Services. Susan felt great about her as well, so we continue to push her through the interview process, and her next step will be a team interview with our interdisciplinary team, which includes, everyone that we work with on a daily basis. That role is very important. So she will interview on Monday. So we hope that will be promising, and we feel very good about it. So that's Danielle's position. And then we also have our social worker assistant position that's still open. We're still scanning resumes. We're making do. Sarah Thomas Johnson used to be our social worker and is now our outreach coordinator, and has been willing to kind of step into that role until we find the right person to welcome to the team. So those are our open positions, and then positions we're currently kind of filling and working on. Regarding census, so I want to talk about the month of March. So healthcare, we ran a 92.58% occupancy. Our budget is 89.5, so we ran around 3% over occupancy, which is another great month for the health center. Currently, we have 65 residents today with a max of 70, so we're five people away from being completely occupied. And then within Cedars, we are 100% occupied. 28 out of 28 units are filled, or apartments. And then in Evergreen Place, we're at 13 on a budget of 14, so we're one under budget. We're continuing to work with Evergreen and looking at our update that we hope to complete towards the end of the year. So Ryan and I have been working on that with the design team, so that's a slow process, and picking things and different samples and different fabrics. So that's where we're currently at with that, but excited to see what Evergreen Place entails with the renovation and update. Speaking of Evergreen, I spoke last month regarding our respite and day visits, and then our EP drop-in, so Evergreen Place drop-in that a lot of independent living residents attended in the month of March and thoroughly enjoyed. It's held on the first Thursday of the month, and Sarah helps with that as our outreach coordinator. She was out last week, so we weren't able to hold that, so you may have gotten a cancellation from Amy stating that through the portal, but we will hold another drop-in event on May 2nd. So that'll be, again, the first Thursday of the month. We'll continue to hold those and are looking at having drop-ins for Cedars and also healthcare, so you as independent living residents can see what those areas entail and what you're able to ask questions and see what all those areas have. Does anyone have any questions for me? No? Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Anna Grace. I want to give a kudos to her and her team. We continue to see significant improvements in our occupancy, particularly in the health center over this last year. And she's brought a great emphasis on working with our team and helping to safely bring residents into the health center. I believe we have one open room right now today, so that's great. That's helping us to be so hit our numbers as far as what our goals are for this year. And over the last year, we've experienced a lot of loss, but she's been able to help us continue to get a pipeline to keep those numbers where we want them to be. That helps us to meet our goals. So she's doing a great job. The team over there is doing a great job. Excited to have the new nurse on board, who comes with a lot of experience. Extremely important as we work with folks that are sicker in those areas to have a focus on wound care and treatment and prevention, and then also on just training our staff to make sure that they're equipped to take care of folks that are sicker than they've been in years past. So appreciate what Anna Grace and her team has been doing over there. This isn't on the slide deck, but I wanted to give a kudos, as Amy had mentioned, and Shannon, Teresa Dixon. She is the scheduling person for our transportation team. She's done a great job over the number of years she's been here. Going to be a significant loss. We're excited for her. She's been talking about the retirement for a little while, so I know that she's looking forward to that. And then Carl Burns, making sure we recognize Carl. He did a great job over the last few years, particularly with helping us with the COVID clinics and just organizing. He called in anytime we asked him to come in and help us with just getting things organized and helping us to deliver on all those different clinics that we did during COVID. Just really appreciate Carl and his willingness to do anything that was asked. So he's going to be missed. This is also something that was planned for him. We were kind of a second job for him after he retired from his first. Just a really great guy. He's building a home on Lake Murray, so you guys need to ask him if you can get an invite to come to the lake house. So it's exciting for him. I saw him earlier this week. He just said, "Ryan, it's time. I got to get there now, or I won't be able to get there." So he's been looking forward to that. He was supposed to finish up in May, but his house sold here a little bit quicker than he'd wanted. So he's going to be finishing up here at the end of the month. On the occupancy side, as Anna Grace had indicated, we're doing a great job. We have 2 independent living apartment move-ins next week, so we continue to see great occupancy results there, and making sure those apartments are ready to move in. So two new, I believe it's 2 couples that are moving in next week, the 15th and the 16th. And then we also have had 4 patio homes close within the last 30 days. So you have new residents that are in the patio homes. And we're continuing to see a great competitive market for the patio homes. I know a number of the homes have been sold pretty quickly. I believe a handful of them have been sold for $350,000 and up, and I believe one was recently put under contract for $400,000. So that's something that we've never seen before. It's great to see that folks realize the value in moving to Rolling Green Village, and they want to be a part of our community. So that's a really good thing I wanted to share that you all may not be aware of. Shifting gears here to the slide deck that I put together. Last month I had an opportunity to visit twice with residents to talk about phase 2 and where we're headed. It's part of my personal communication plan to increase and fill you all in on what's happening. So I think there were 2 pretty good sessions. One was the beginning of March, and then the other one was for the prospective residents at the end of March. Just want to make sure you all knew that those opportunities will continue, but that's my first step in the direction of increasing communication as we move forward and talking about phase 2 and where we're headed. Also, over the last week, I've had an opportunity to visit with a handful of residents that were interested in getting more information about the expansion and had some concerns and questions. They submitted some questions to me, sat down and visited with them, and shared again some more information. Just wanted you to be aware that that conversation is also happening. I think some of those answers were forwarded to folks that are in the room as well. We know there's going to be a lot of concerns. We're going to continue to answer questions as they come up as we move forward. We don't have all the answers to everything right now, but we're going to take it one step at a time. And I've committed to communicating along the way as we continue to move forward. Speaking of communication, resident committees continue to see a lot of great participation and partnership with residents. So if you're interested in learning or participating in some of the committees, please reach out to resident association board members or folks that are on the committees to see how you might be able to get involved as folks roll off or come on. I really do view that as a partnership, as an opportunity for residents to have voice and kind of talk about what it's like to live here and make sure that leadership knows some of the items that maybe we miss because we don't live here. We do work here, but it's different to live here. So I do think that the committees are positive. They're helping to increase partnership and make sure that we understand better what's going on that's impacting your quality of life and how we can meet and exceed those expectations. So we're just finishing up the quarter end, so I don't have all the financial quarter results, but I will be sending out a communication before the end of this month to you all, kind of recapping, again, along the lines of communication, the first quarter of this year. A follow-up, I'd mentioned last month, the pendants. Ann said she did get a good number of them in, so the second resident pendants, those should hopefully be able to be passed out at the end of this month. So Ann said she's waiting for a few more to come in, and we'll send you some more information as we move forward. See if we can keep moving along. We talked about this before. I'm being repetitive to make sure you know that I'm trying not to skip on things. In the Wellness Center, we've got the 2 estimates. No new updates there, but Amy is working on that contingency plan. We do see that as something that will happen this year. Skip might have more information on that, but we do see the need to likely shut down the pool for a little bit to make sure that we can update it, bring it back up to standard. Curb appeal at the front entrance, I talked about this last month. We did have some improvements at the flagpole that's at the front. There was some different landscaping that was put in and an upgrade there, so that did happen. Hooksmith sidewalk and curbing, we've given the contractors, we've asked a deadline of tomorrow to get us bids for the project. We do see a number of trees that have been flagged that are likely going to need to be removed because of the slope and the space that we have to extend the sidewalk, but then also just make sure that the ground is level there. So that is something that we're looking to execute May, June, and still continues to be on track. Lakeside sidewalk improvements. Last week, Skip and I met with the folks from the Lakeside HOA board to talk about the geotechnical report that we received. There's some pretty big items that we're trying to just kind of understand and collaborate with the folks from Lakeside on what we do from here. So we're still just absorbing the information, recognizing that there's going to be a need for quite a bit of work to potentially bring back that sidewalk. Do we extend it as long as we have had it in the past, or do we change the sidewalk to not be as far? Do we remove the sidewalk? There's a couple of different options that we have. We do have limited space to do that, and we have a need to bring in some heavy equipment to shore up the shoreline, so there's a lot of decisions still to be made. But with that geotechnical report, just and visiting with the Lakeside Board just to kind of let them know of what we learned, and then allowing them a chance to absorb that, and then us figuring out where we start the process of improvement. One of the discussions may be, instead of putting back the sidewalk on that side of the lake, maybe we move, and use the resources we would use on that tight side over to the other side to, again, still meet the benefit of folks being able to enjoy that water space or be close to the water. Because on the other side of the lake, we have openness and we don't have houses to navigate like we do on the lakeside side. So nothing formal has been decided upon yet, but that is a big project that we're continuing to collaborate on. The Village Green Courtyard, we have had some improvements there. We also do have the patio fencing, and that project's going to be completed pretty soon, in the addition of some additional patios. We did receive feedback from the resident subcommittee, the survey, and we'll be visiting next week to talk through what we learned, and that'll kind of guide us on the next steps for some of the improvements that we see there. I do have a couple pictures I wanted to share. I don't know if everybody gets a chance to get over to the Village Green Courtyard. If you want to take a look at that. So what we've done is between the apartments and between the sidewalks, we've wanted to put down ground cover and some plants in the areas that traditionally have not had anything but bare ground, and that's an area that is a lot of shade. So in working with a handful of residents, we came up with some ideas, worked with the Brightview, who has a landscape architect that helped us come up with the plan to execute. So the plants were put in last week, along with some mulch, and so it's good to see. It's going to take a little while for all that to kind of grow in to truly get to where we want it to be, but this is a start with getting the land, that area prepared, and starting to see some small improvements. In addition to putting down the plants, we also fixed a lot of the irrigation in that area that had not worked correctly, to make sure that those plants are going to be able to survive in that space. So it's a start as well. We've got a little bit more improvement to do there, in addition of looking at the structure that's in the Village Green. But we felt like we wanted to start off in those spaces that are not going to have patios, but that could start to see some of the improvements. So we want to keep moving along. That's a kind of a during, and then this is a little bit of an after. Again, there's some small ground cover and some ferns and a little bit of other plants that have been planted. But we got to give a little bit of time for us to see the finalization of it. But that's exciting. The pickleball court project, I don't have a significant update. We do know that separate plans are going to be required from Greenville County. We visited, I believe it was last week or the week before. We're working with the landscape architect. We have verified the utility site work is not going to be prohibitive to us, but we do continue to have those conversations, and we'll have to work through that process. I don't have any other major updates. But we do have a commitment of 2 pickleball courts and a bocce ball court on a temporary basis that's out here in the green space to be built this year. So we just have to work through that process with the county. Keep moving along. Wanted to share with you the financials. We had another good month as far as revenues exceeding what we had budgeted. As I talked about, the healthcare census, and Anna Grace talked about, did exceed what we had planned. So that helped us to see a positive variance when it comes to our revenues. We do continue to see good results on the independent living side. And on the expense side, we did have a couple of areas that we had to take as far as adjustments. One was our medical supplies. We found out that our medical supplier in the health center, we missed some expenses last year. So they actually just reminded us to say, hey, these supplies were delivered last year, but we did not receive payment for them. So that was around $20,000. We also got feedback from our auditor as far as capital. We could not capitalize a marketing expense, so that was another piece that helped us to go over a little bit. We do have continued increasing overtime with some open positions, and then also the use of some temporary staff. So again, that is improving, but the increase in some of the expenses there, a change from capital to expense, and then also overtime / temp is why we exceeded the operating expense this month. But we did have a positive NOI, and we did exceed that goal with that positive variance on the revenue side. So all in all, another good month and close to the quarter. Moving along. Wanted to let y'all know about a change that's going to impact folks in independent living. We've had some open discussion. We're continuing to experience increasing brown boxes that keep showing up from Amazon. And we're seeing an increasing number of folks get a lot of deliveries, and we're seeing our staff be pulled away from what they're intended to do to deliver them, hand deliver them to apartments. So we've had a lot of internal discussion and talked between the concierge team and between the community life team that we feel that we put this practice in place during COVID because of not being able to allow the delivery folks to come in and for you all to get out. But we felt like it was time after 4 years to pull that service back. So effective May 1st, we're going to request that apartment residents come down to pick up their packages from the commons. Includes groceries and other items that come. We do not want you going back into the package room, but please come to the concierge when the concierge is there, and they will assist you. But if you're recovering from illness or return from the hospital, or if there's a package that's too large or too heavy, we will help you get that back to the apartment. But as we talked about it internally, not a lot of those packages are of that size, and we do want you to come down and pick up those items when they're delivered. I actually helped out a resident who's in the room last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, who came down and was curious and needed to get a package to make sure she could get it to a friend for her birthday. So we do want to let you all know that in a few weeks we're gonna go back to that recommendation that folks come down to pick up those deliveries in the aisle apartments. Does anybody have any questions about that change?
Yes.
Yes.
Will we be notified that there's a package there to pick up?
We'll be notified that there's a package there to pick up. A lot of the providers will notify you that there is something there. You know, Amazon, they'll tell you exactly when it's delivered. Lindsay, do you have an answer to that?
As of right now, we're not going to be logging everything, and we don't even see everything that comes through the door, and things get delivered in various places, so.
Can y'all hear me? Okay. As you all know, things get delivered all over the place here. Sometimes things are delivered to the commons, sometimes here at the village center. We've even had some delivery folks just drop packages at the loading dock or at the end of an apartment building, so we don't always know exactly when something arrives. So we're not going to have a way to log everything. And the other detail is sometimes these delivery folks mark a package as delivered before it actually arrives in our door. So some of you have experienced that, so please be patient with us if you come and look for something that is yours and we don't necessarily have it right there. And Ryan, I don't know if you had this other detail. If you are in an apartment, regardless of whether your address is 3 or 7 Hoke Smith, it does help ensure that your package is delivered to the commons. If you put 6 Hoke Smith in your accounts, whether it's Amazon or Walmart or wherever, 6 Hoke Smith is the address for the commons front desk in that area. And it does help for those delivery folks to know where to leave your things. Any other questions?
There will be some communication sent out to you all in writing they'll help you to kind of clarify a few things, and then the concierge folks are glad to answer any questions as well. It is something we bounced around for a little while. We've been pulling the village center concierge most days, and then I know Rose does it on the weekends. You know, it's an increasing amount of time, hours at a time. And when somebody comes to the front desk here, I even experienced it last year, and she's delivering packages, and somebody comes to the front desk, they don't know where to go. They're stopping in the front door and saying, "Hello, is anybody there?" You know, and a lot of times we go out and say, you know, "How can I assist you?" So we just want to make sure the right person doing the right thing. You know, and we did view that as an extra benefit during COVID to help folks, but as we're on the other side of that, we want to get back to that
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 didn't
routine.
answer my question.
I'm sorry?
That didn't answer my question. I mean, what if you have a package and you're not expecting a package?
Yep.
Is it just going to sit there and sit there and sit there? Or is someone going to call and say, hey, you have a package, come pick it up?
And I don't think we're not gonna call every single person for every single package. I think a lot of people know when a package is coming and they know when to expect it, but if it's been there for a certain number of days, I would anticipate we don't want it to sit there for an extended period of time, particularly if something says it's perishable. But we do want, folks are aware when they order something that they know when something is coming. But if there is something where we find that it's there for an extended period of time, I think they will eventually call. But we're not going to call that initially. It's going to be more by exception than by every single time. Is there anything else you would add to that, Lindsay?
I think that's accurate.
Okay. Rose, do you have any feedback there? See her in the corner. So, okay, we're gonna move along to the next item. I got a new friend. Her name is Judy Outlaw, and she gave me a great idea. Judy's over there, about how we can remind folks of different things that we do. So in light of mail services, and I actually witnessed it today, Judy talked to me about a Did You Know series. Did you know these are some things that we do? And I thought it was a great idea. So I walked in this morning, and I don't see him here. Mr. Doolittle came in about the same time that I did. And he handed a manila envelope to Lori, actually 2 pieces of mail to Lori. And Lori, took it from him and helped to make sure. And he said, "Will you mind billing that to Ruth Doolittle's account?" So I thought that was kind of neat, and it struck me the fact that you all that live in patio homes and apartments can come down to the front desk and basically utilize those services as if it's a postal service. And I don't know if folks knew that. I know I don't put my mail in my mailbox. I drive it to one of those blue boxes or to the post office, but that takes me going down Woodruff Road. And I know you all don't want to get on Woodruff Road unless you have to, but you have the convenience of coming down. So this is a reminder here of all the things that we can do. There are some things that we can't do, but I think it's a great service that it's good to remind you all. Did you know that we have that? So you can just stop up, mail something out, get some postage. Did you also know, I heard that likely you're going to see the stamp go up to 73 cents? I think it's 68 now, but they're just increasing costs. So, but it's great, again, you don't have to spend the time to go out to the post office. We can do a lot of things here. I asked Lindsay, is this okay if I broadcast this? And she said that it is. We do see some people do it. But it's a great thing to know that you have that service, and it's right here. So this kind of hits on some of the bullet points of the mail services that we offer here at the Commons. You will keep moving along. We will have the resident handbook updated by next week. I know Ruth was working on the final touches, and I've got it on my desk, so it will be posted to the portal, and you can get a copy of it at the Commons front desk if you'd like to get a copy of that next week. So I know that's been a lot of work to be done, and trying to be as efficient and simple when it comes to the communication that we have. So that will be coming next week. It's a commitment to you. And I want to thank Dr. Polsinelli as a resident engagement. You all know that Dr. Polsinelli has been committed to helping us capture all these videos. And I was actually stopped by a resident's family member as I was walking down, said I think it's great that those videos are recorded and she can watch them from her home and she can be in touch with what's going on here. So thank you, Dr. Polsinelli, for all the work that you do. The time that he spends to sit and listen to me talk, but then also to go back and post it to the portal and to help label it and organize it. We appreciate you. So thank you. Any questions for me? That's all that I have. I did have one quick thing before I let you all ask some questions. It's to be released next week, but I wanted to share with you, and I didn't post it up here. But through Life Care Services, we were notified that there is a U.S. News and World Report designation, and each year we're open to receiving the designation. And for this 24-25 year, we were recognized not once, twice, but 3 times in 3 different areas based upon our survey results. So there's 3,500 communities like us across the United States that are graded, and we're grateful to hear about us being recognized for independent living, for memory care, and also for continuing care. So 3 different awards. It'll be public next week. There'll probably be some information on the website. And we definitely want to leverage that to make sure folks from the outside in see that we're being recognized. Across Life Care Services, there's about 120 communities. There may have been 30 that were recognized out of 120, and we were one of only maybe 3 that had 3 different recognitions out of those 4. So we're grateful for that. So you'll see more about that probably next week, but that's great to see. So what questions do y'all have for me?
I'm Karen Hauk, I live in the E
Yeah.
building. This is actually to add to your did you know list. I discovered a resident in the 2nd floor lounge area of the A building the other day using a big magnifying machine for reading. Is there more than one of those on the campus? I have walked by it a million times and never knew it was there.
Yeah, I was looking for Amy, but I don't. There she is. Good timing.
I don't know what the question was.
The on the 2nd floor in the independent living apartments, the big magnifying glass,
For reading?
the reader, the visually impaired reader. I just didn't know if you knew how many of them we have.
Oh, I don't know.
I'm thinking there's 2. I think there's a white one and a black one.
Okay.
There's one, isn't there one in the commons at the business?
That may be.
No, it used to be just one.
Okay, so there's just one.
Did you know?
I did not know. I did not know.
Can I ask you quick, is
Yep.
the fountain in the lake is not operating? Is it?
The fountain in the lake. Skip, can you answer that?
Anyhow, it's wonderful when it is, and the grounds are wonderful.
Yeah.
When I moved here, Bruce had some prune juice in little cans for us for breakfast, but that went away, and I need prune juice for breakfast.
Did you know? Yeah, we're gonna keep using the did you know?
Ryan, that's yours.
Did you know I prefer Raisin Bran? That's how I get my, yeah.
On the fountain, the lights were repaired on the fountain in the upper fountain yesterday. So that's up and going and working. The fountain at the creekside had tripped out the breaker head. And what is happening is debris is getting sucked up because there's so much debris in that pond. Getting sucked up into the pond, up into the pump. The pump motor is overloading and tripping the breaker out. And unfortunately, there's not really a fix for that other than going in and dredging out the pond.
Skip's trying to add another big project to the list here. He mentioned that to me, so I think that is something eventually we need to tackle. So, another did you know, I think some folks are aware, did you know we have a resident beaver out in the lake? Skip sent me some pictures. I think it's pretty neat. I don't know how many other retirement communities have a resident beaver. But as I'm asking some folks, we may not be able to keep the beaver because he's pretty destructive, him and his family. And I've asked residents, how can we leverage this? Can we have a naming contest? Because not a lot of communities can say that, but he's been pretty disruptive. I understand they work at night. And if you go out and see, there's at least one tree, and he's working on 2 others, and there's a small dam, and we believe there's a family. I don't know if they're going to be able to stay. We may have to encourage them to go somewhere else. But that's a pretty neat thing that not a lot of places can say they have.
We could send him to the Bronx Zoo.
The Bronx Zoo. There we go. What do you have, Pat?
The lights in the village green are not burning. Some of them are not.
Okay. And we know that a couple of them are not. And as we can keep moving forward with the village green courtyard revitalization, we know that we're going to have to do some concrete work, so we're going to be pulling some things up. We know that there's a wiring issue that's underground, so instead of doing that now, we want to incorporate that all together So we have added one light, you know, and then we do know that there is some work that needs to be done with the wiring. But we do want to make sure that there's safety out there and make sure that we have enough lighting. I believe it's, Skip, can you speak to it?
We've got, there are 3 lights working along the side of D building, and then the one in the center of C building, and the 3 that are along A building are not working. We do know that the 2 that we added up on E building that shines down, those are working. So I contacted the electrician to come back out, but if it gets in the underground, that's a much more difficult problem to be able to try to resolve in trying to locate it and dig all the ground up. So to Ryan's point, we're trying to roll that into the bigger project as we look to continue to upgrade what goes on in the village center.
So we'll be addressing that, but we've added some other temporary lighting to try to offset it. As we look at probably changing some of the concrete work, we'd also like to create a full circle in the village green so you can walk consecutively around. Right now there's a dead end, and that will include some concrete work. We know there's some drainage issues there, and a couple things to do. So we'd like to incorporate that all together instead of breaking it out, tearing something up, going back in multiple times. So that's what we're planning to do. We don't know exactly yet what we're going to do in the village green, but we're continuing to visit with some residents to try to figure that out.
Jerry Rose, one night. I wanted to commend you on what we're doing in Village Green. It's already beginning to show. And a question about the arbor. What's the latest on it before it falls down?
Yeah, it's still to be determined. We know we're going to need to do something about it. We did talk to the landscape architect about it. They agreed that is it wisteria, pretty significant, and is definitely stressing it. So we're trying to determine how could you still have some wisteria but not have it be so overwhelming. And that's the next step after we did some of the ground cover. We need to finish the patios, and then it's looking at what folks would like to see in that space. As far as the structure and what we envision utilizing that space for. So that's the next step. We do visit next week with a handful of residents as we determine the next step there.
One other thing, having been from Kansas, I hate to see trees being torn down. Obviously, you guys have looked at the other side, that we could put the sidewalk on the other side and not tear down all those trees.
Well, I think the trees, and Skip can talk a little bit about it, they're right on the slope there with the sidewalk along Hoke Smith. And as one of the reasons why we have to do the work on Hoke Smith is because the tree limb has gone in underneath the drive and created a little hump there. So because of the closeness and how big those trees are, well, unfortunately we're getting a recommendation to take some of those out. I do personally believe when we take trees out, we want to try to plant other trees to offset that, but probably not in that same spot. Skip, can you speak to a little bit of it?
Right, what we've got to do is we've got close to 1,000 feet of sidewalk we're putting in there. It'll begin at Creekside, and it'll run all the way to the entrance to Lakeside. And then along with that, we're putting curbing in too. So that curbing elevates six inches. And so that's why, when you walk along the sidewalk across from, before you get to Creekside, and where the cottages are going to Creekside, see how that's elevated and you got the curbing right on the left? That same height, width is what the sidewalk's going to be going around the lakeside. There's also an easement there for Metro Sewer that runs along there and goes down toward Lakeside. So those trees have to be cut, and not just cut, the roots have to be taken out to grade that slope to a 3-to-1 slope, because we've got to do water channel that coming off and channel that water down, not just dump it on the ground, but channel it down into the pond so it's not further eroding. And where we've got a little bit of rock along the sidewalk, where you see it's running off, we'll continue that, or we'll revamp that to make it more pronounced coming down to the pond. And but that's the reason we've got to do that. And that, we worked with the engineers and the contractors and stuff on that, and unfortunately, we really don't have any choice.
This is a change of subject. This is for the future. It had occurred to me that it would be lovely if we were to have a reunion for some of those very special retiring people that have worked with us. It could be a beautiful day for all of us to say hello to them again and just share some nice times together.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
This may sound crazy, but obviously I don't know the costs involved in the project to put that sidewalk along that shoreline over there. Was it ever a consideration to put a boardwalk in instead of the sidewalk, which could come out into the lake? You would not have to do all of the repair of the sidewalk, put all new sidewalk in, and I don't know the cost figures for that, but it would be another option, and just keep the property so that the shoreline would just stay like basically as it is, which might save some money, and it may not. I don't know the specifics, but it would seem it would be something, because that sidewalk dead ends anyway.
Yeah.
So if you put the boardwalk, if you only put it, maybe you wouldn't have to go the full length. Maybe if it went to the island, I mean, up to that location, that would be the same kind of problem, not problem, but the same, it would give you the same activities, in fact, and maybe a little better than it would be with the sidewalk.
We're definitely open to looking at not just doing the same exact thing, putting it back in, but looking at different options. What we've recognized though is that there's not a lot of space to get equipment back there to be able to access it. It's just really close from the backs of the homes to actually get some heavy equipment in there. So that's going to continue to create challenges, particularly as we put something else back in. Yeah, but even still getting equipment, to put equipment into the water is not an easy task. And I looked at Skip at one point, like, wow, this is pretty extensive, between retaining walls, between putting up some other type of securing of the shorelines, because we know that it's going to continue to erode over time. How can we put a solution in that is going to last for 20 plus years, not just for a couple of years? We don't want to go back in. So trying to figure out what that right balance is with enjoying that space, and being mindful of costs is where we're kind of at right now. But that's why I mentioned before, maybe we do something on the other side where we have more of the freedom of that space and look at some type of a boardwalk there, because as you try to tuck something in back behind that, that's going to increase the cost. Maybe we could do something different on the other side where we have the freedom and have that space and can still provide that same benefit, which is to utilize, allow people to benefit from being near the water. So that's something we're just starting to kind of scratch the surface on those discussions. So no decision has been made. But we'd love to put in something else that allows people to walk out onto a little bit of the water, some type of a boardwalk type thing. I was teasing and said maybe we could have a dock there. I know Ruth was talking about a pontoon boat, but I don't think that the lake is big enough. But I was kind of being silly, and I threw out the idea, what about a jet ski? You can allow, we can have two people on a jet ski, and a resident on the back, and that can still let you get your hair. How many communities have a jet ski that you could ride every once in a while? We rent it a couple times a year. Let people get out there. I've driven one. Has anybody else driven one? They're pretty fun. They go quick. But would that be an experience for some people? I don't know. But how do we allow people to benefit from that space? So it's a big project, and we don't have any answers. To be serious, we don't have any answers. It's going to take a little bit of time. Go ahead, question?
Yeah, when they did the dog park and replaced that patio by the small lake, they were supposed to put in a shade structure, and that's not happened, and that is it's kind of forced the area into only limited use because of the sun, full sun on the patio. Is there any plan to get a shade structure in there?
Yeah, I think that's something we need to revisit. I visited with a resident who utilizes the space a lot, and got some feedback, and I think we need to revisit that. I know that we do want to have some shade structure. I have also recognized, I was out there last fall, and the sun just beats down on that, and then you have the concrete. So if you have a shade structure and it's beating down, and it's kind of creating a space, so you know, we need to look at what is the best solution for that space. I don't think we have the answer yet, but yeah, we will need to go back and put something in. We've even seen people pulling the chairs down to the other end of the dog park because that's where the shade's coming from the big trees. So is that where that shade spot should be versus the concrete? Maybe the concrete's just for the evening when the sun has come down where you can sit and look at the water. You know, maybe the initial intention, we need to look at that a little differently. And that was some of the feedback that I got. Because we want to make sure if we put an investment in for it that it's going to be used. And kind of questioning, is that really going to be used if we put it in there? Maybe we should look at something a little different. But we do have some things down there, but it doesn't feel like we hit the mark on what that right solution is. So I do think we need to revisit that and add that to the list to circle back to and finish. But thank you for bringing that up. Other questions? Skip, do you have an update on the video cameras system? When that will be up and going?
They have been up and going. We've
Okay.
got, I think there's 4 right now that we're working on this. There's some, with the switch and the patch and getting those in there, but the system is up and operating. It has been for probably about 2 to 3 weeks now.
Okay. So just so folks are aware, we've significantly upgraded the camera system, the monitoring system, in light of the resident elopement that we had last year. That gives us new cameras that are integrated with our current security system, so we can view all of the parking lots that we have near the contiguous building. We've never had that capability before. Largely the camera systems were focused on some of our doors and actually just showing people as they come and go. But we have invested in took us a little while to run all the wiring and then to get the equipment and to get the equipment that integrated with our current system. But we've significantly enhanced the number of cameras and the monitoring, you know, for safety reasons as well. So.
Are you seeing them go through the stop signs? I mean, racing through, and I'm not being, I'm just curious.
Seeing folks race through the stop signs, yeah.
Near the building.
Yeah. Skip.
I mean, the cameras were not put in for that reason. Yes, those go on, they ignore them, they blow through them. It's about anybody comes on campus. I mean, it's employees, it's residents, it's visitors, it's all the above. You know, it's funny, we live in South Carolina, but I see California stops all the time, and that's where you just roll through the stop sign. So yes, that is just a personal issue. We put speed bumps in, and we had to put up rocks because people were driving around the speed bumps out onto the grass. So we put boulders in, and then we had somebody didn't like it, so they decided to run into it and ram it and push it over on the sidewalk. So we have all kinds of activities. Unfortunately, no, all the cameras don't pick all that up. So we just have to ask to be responsible, be courteous, be considerate.
We do need to look at adding the speed bumps to the four-way stop, and likely adding something to minimize people cutting through the cottages. People are thinking that's saving them a bunch of time, so that's still something that we have to address. I want to visit with the cottage residents to talk about what the right location is. And the whole intent is increasing safety, getting people to slow down as we move forward. So we've not done that yet, but that is still something we need to do. As we're looking at doing some of the work on Hoke Smith, we might be looking at those speed bumps at the back gate as well. They're starting to deteriorate, and if we have somebody here that's going to be doing that work, maybe us doing that all together as well. you know, versus having somebody come back out later to do that. So that's something that we know we need to address as well. Has anybody experienced coming in at night? I've got some feedback that the back gate's not closed. Has anybody experienced that after 10 o'clock? Because our policy is for the back gate to be locked at 10 o'clock. Does anybody come in after 10?
It was closed last night.
It was closed last night. We just need to hear that feedback. I've asked Skip to revisit with the security guard to make sure that we are locking it. So it's after 10 o'clock, right, Skip?
Yes, you know, it may be not exactly at 10, because keep in mind, if security's out doing something, they're doing that, then they'll, once they get done, then they'll lock the back gate. So that's why it's not exactly 10 o'clock. Okay, so most nights it probably is, but there will be from time to time that it's not. If he's out on a call or something like that, that's what they finish the call before they can lock the gate.
And we are investigating the potential of putting a different type of a gate that could utilize the key card system at the back. We have to get fiber optic cabling to run there, so AT&T has approached us about that. So that is something that we are still considering to the back and to the front gate that will upgrade the camera system there and allow us maybe eventually to put in a gate that will utilize your key card to come in and out. Maybe we set that at certain times of the evening. We do have a lot of visitors that come into the front, but that's something that we're continuing to think about as well as we move forward. But I just want to ask that question. It's been brought up a couple times now to see if anybody else has experienced that, where that gate is open, you know, after 10 o'clock.
What time do you open it?
Yeah, the time's.
Skip, what time's it open?
I want to say about 5, I believe, 5:30.
Next question.
Yes. I had an incident a day or two ago where maintenance came in. They used to not be able to enter my apartment because I had a dog, and he has since passed away. And apparently maintenance came in and did something with my dryer, and I didn't know it. And I walked into my apartment and my dryer was running, and I didn't know how long it had been running.
Okay.
There was no, I'm told that there should be some kind of a tag or something letting me know they were there. There was nothing there. And I thought I did something wrong and left my dryer on for a day or two.
Skip, can you speak to that?
I apologize. Anytime they enter your apartment, they should be putting a tag on there when they leave. I think the reason your drive was on, what you didn't see was on the outside of the building with the guy with the rod, that because they turn the dryer on, they come on the outside of the building, then they take the rod and push that onto your dryer vent, and it goes all the way back to the dryer, and they work it back and forth, and with the dryer running, it blows the lint out of the system. So that's what they were doing. We've been going around and doing each apartment, and so we still got some few that we haven't done yet. And so, but that's, if it was running, that they were probably on the outside doing that, but they should have left a card, and I apologize.
We can look back at that though, because we keep track of who comes into the apartment with the key card system. But yes, they should have put a some type of note that said we were here. Yeah, you're right. We are making sure we look at those dryer vents. We have found, I think folks saw we had that big boom that came out to get a lot of the third floor. We have found significant lint that's in the dryer vents. Visited with the POA presidents last week, and they talked about their work to do that, particularly in patio homes, because there is some risk there. So we are doing that also here as well. I know we did quite a bit in F. Where are we at now on that, Skip, you said?
They were working A.
A?
I don't know how far they got on the total yet.
Okay. So we do have quite a few apartments that we're trying to get. We try to get the high ones with the boom and then work through the rest. So, yes, next question.
Just a comment. If doing as well as you say we got to get a lot of publicity out of that from the U.S. News and World Report.
Yeah.
That says a lot to residents around here that are thinking about coming, and we ought to get as much personal publicity out of that as we can.
Yeah, and I think, we're not alone. As I was at a conference this week, there's a lot of folks in the state that are doing pretty well. The demographics are there. I think folks have seen after COVID that the services that we provide are valued, the connections that people can create in this setting can help extend and enhance their life. So it's not just Rolling Green, but you're right, we're grateful. A lot of decisions that were made in the past helped us to be where we're at today. You know, and I believe the wait list is over 100 now. You know, so that's great to see folks that want to come here. So yeah, we do want to leverage and make sure folks know that we're being recognized and continue to do that. We can't rely on that though. We have to take things one day at a time and continue to focus on our service levels and the services that we provide. So, but yeah, I appreciate that feedback. Again, extremely grateful to be in a good position that we are today. I got 4:05. We could do maybe one more question.
Could we possibly remind the larger delivery vehicles to utilize the back gate? They're coming down Hoke Smith. It can't be very good for the pavement and everything like that. And occasionally there's early deliveries and it makes quite a racket at the speed bumps and the houses close to it.
So by early deliveries, do you mean the food vendors that we have and maybe the medical supply?
Those, and they're the tractor trailer or the huge, like dump trucks.
Yeah.
They make a particularly fascinating noise at about 7 a.m.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what time they come, Skip. I don't know if you can speak to that.
No, because they come for all different reasons. Like right now, Summerside's redoing their driveways. So you've got equipment coming in that's jackhammering out the concrete and dirt, loading it on the dump trucks. That's being handled by a third-party contractor. And then, you know, they're going out and bringing stuff in, and then concrete trucks are coming in. We've got food deliveries that come twice a week. I think it's Tuesday, Thursday, I believe. And then we've got makeup. If they were short on something, it could be a smaller delivery truck. And then we've got maintenance trucks making deliveries.
Trash pickup?
Trash pickup.
That's Tuesdays at 10.
That's on that, but then they come a different time for the recycle container and the construction container based on when it's full. And then you've got different trash services for the cottages. I think that's Kirby.
Waste management, yeah.
Or something like that. It's a new one. So you've got a lot of different ones that are coming in.
Can they use the back gate road?
It's again, you got pros and cons. You got people in the back that want to use front wants to use the back. The biggest challenge you have is, as big as this campus is, a lot of people coming here are not familiar with the campus. So they're coming in from the direction they're coming from, be it 85, Garlington Road, or coming in off Roper Mountain. Those that generally come in the back gate generally understand how we're laid out, and they understand how Snipes and Roper Mountain feed to the back gate. That's sort of the challenge.
They might, they might not go to the back gate too because of the school traffic there as well. And some of it may be just the way they're directed with navigation. So, but I think it's a good point. I think it's something we need to be mindful of, particularly as if we can make adjustments as we're looking at phase 2, because there's going to be some inconvenience and noise. So, last one.
As you know, Ryan, I have started a movie night on Wednesday night, and it has been very, very, very highly attended.
Thank you for your...
Everybody loves it, and this is on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock in the private dining room.
Thank you, Helen, for taking the initiative to do that. I know I've heard a lot of really good feedback. And we need to make sure we give kudos